So I recorded part one. Make sure you take a look at that first before you actually listen in on this video. Hi everyone, Annasha here from Shayla's Voice. Welcome back to the channel. So I am back with part two, as promised, of the last video that I recorded in regards to just updates on Shayla, her seizures, her Rett syndrome journey. So I recorded part one. Make sure you take a look at that first before you actually listen in on this video. So if you are new to our channel, welcome. Our channel is about our daughter who was diagnosed with moderate to severe autism when she was shy little girl, 2.5 years old, went on to 3. She's now 12, going on to 13, and she recently got a diagnosis of Rett syndrome. Rett was not new to us. When we got our autism spectrum disorder diagnosis, we got a conditional Rett, so we knew that there was something there, but we had just not gotten the full tests to confirm. But we recently did all of that, and it is official. She does have Rett syndrome. So the videos are going to be, we started off with a lot of autism heavy videos, but it's going to be more Rett syndrome videos. That being said, there will be some aspects of autism because Rett is under the autism umbrella, is how it was explained to me. So yeah, so thank you for being here. If you want to continue on this journey with us, be sure to hit that subscribe button. All right, so I'm going to jump right into it. So last video, again, make sure you've watched last video. I spoke about, I just gave a bit of a summary about how Shayla got diagnosed with Rett syndrome, how she started, her seizures started, she was hospitalized, and how we transitioned to taking anti-seizure medication. Say that 3 times fast. Anti-seizure medication every day, and my hesitation to starting the medication right away, and how now we're a few months in and Shayla's doing amazing, and the medication has been working. So in the last video, I hinted that again, the medication is great. It has been working. She's on her full dose, but I did hint that, I think I said something about it had stopped the seizures, but I'm like, stay tuned for part 2. Well, we had some more seizures recently. Shayla was, I'm going to try not to get emotional because it's so hard. I mean, again, nobody wants to see their child sick or anything like that, but okay, and actually it's not as serious. Okay. Okay. So Shayla was hospitalized again recently because of seizures. She had, her seizures are tonic clonic, which is, I think I would take that any day over her 2-minute long seizure or the other seizures that are out there. But she had about 8 seizures in a period of 40 minutes, and I had to call the paramedics to come get her. So I don't think it had anything to do with her medication. I think her medication works. The dosage works. So I'll just say what happened. So you guys know that I foster as well. We foster. So the night before, it happened on a Wednesday. So like the Tuesday night, for example, not for example, oh God, okay. So the Tuesday night, I had a rough night with one of the babies in the house. I didn't sleep. So I got up in the morning, and Shayla also did not sleep that night. So I got up and I said to Sean, you know what? I just don't feel like taking Shayla to school. I don't feel like driving. So I'm going to stay home, and she's going to stay home. And he was like, that's fine. Let her stay home. Because again, she had not slept the night. So it's good. Although she's full. When Shayla doesn't sleep at nights, you would think that she's exhausted. This kid is full of energy, full of energy. So I decided to keep her home. So she got up and she was on her bed, and I noticed that she had coughed up. Now, she had had a cough. We were all sick. Some people in the house tested positive for COVID, some didn't, but we were all sick about 2 to 3 weeks prior. Everybody was fine. Everybody got over it, but Shayla continued to have a prolonged cough. And with the prolonged cough, it sounded very chesty in regards to the phlegm, very chesty. So I noticed the morning that she had coughed up and some mucus had come out. So I cleaned her up. Okay, no big deal. A few minutes later, the same thing happened. I heard her cough, and then I saw the stuff coming out of her mouth. So I went again and I cleaned her. I'm like, okay, you know what, Shayla, just come out of your bed and come hang out with mommy. So she came out of her bed. I had her breakfast ready. I fed her breakfast and she seemed fine. She seemed fine. A few minutes later, she starts to throw up and she's throwing up all of her breakfast. So I'm like, okay, this is not normal. Something's going on here. She's not even coughing or anything at this point. She's just throwing up. I clean her up. She throws up again. I clean her up. She throws up again. I clean. I'm like, no. So I dropped everything that I was doing and I just literally sat in front of her, stayed with her. And while I'm cleaning up, she started throwing up again. While I'm cleaning her up, she starts to have a seizure. So I'm like, at this point, I start to panic. So I call Sean and I'm like, oh my God, Shayla's having a seizure. We've not seen a seizure in forever, but this is what's happening and Shayla's having a seizure. She comes through from the seizure almost right away. So it was about 30-35 seconds. Again, that's what we've seen before. We've never had anything longer than that. She comes through right away. She's alert. She's not gasping for air. She's alert. She is a little bit sleepy because like obviously the seizure drains her. And then another seizure happens again while I'm on the phone talking to Sean. So I'm like, no, Sean, something's up. So at the time I had the baby, I had Shayla, it's just the three of us in the house. I'm like, no, I need help because I need to take her to the hospital right away. I don't want to chance this because she had it back to back. And that's the same thing that happened the first time. It was back to back seizures. So I'm like, nope, I gotta call this in. So Sean's like, maybe call the telehealth people as opposed to calling 911. While we're talking again, she has another seizure. I'm like, no, Sean, I need to call 911. So I hang up the phone with Sean. I call my sister-in-law. I'm like, I need you. You need to drop everything and come right now because I need to leave the house with Shayla. I'm about to call 911. So she said, okay, I'm coming. While I'm doing all of this, Shayla has another seizure and another seizure. And I'm like, I've not called 911 because I started to panic because I'm like, I have the baby. I can't call 911. If I call 911, like the baby's like I started, but Sean said, okay, I'm gonna like before that I hang up with him. He's like, I'm gonna come home now. Call Samantha, do what you need to do. I'm gonna come home now. But what the paramedics said after the fact was that no matter what, no matter how many people you have in the house, call us. We'll stay with her until somebody else comes to help out or whatever. And I never even thought of that in the moment, and it makes perfect sense, right? But through all of this, my sister-in-law wasn't here yet. Sean wasn't here yet. And she continued to have seizures. So I called one of my neighbors. She didn't answer. But I just so happened to look out of the window and I saw her walking her dog. And I jetted downstairs. I'm like, you need to come help me right now. And at this time, like I'm screaming. I'm hysterical. I'm crying. I don't know what to do. I'm concerned. And then Shayla just continues to have seizure after seizure after seizure. So while I'm on the phone with paramedics with 911, she's still seizing and she's still seizing and she's throwing up and she's seizing and she's throwing up to the point where she's throwing up and all that's in her stomach is bile, like that yellowish greenish thing. That's all that's coming up. So paramedics came. The initial first responders came. They started doing whatever, and asking a bunch of questions, seeing the medication, doing everything. And while they were there, they said to me, I saw another ambulance pull up, and they said a specialized team is going to come now to take care of her because of the seizures. And I had no clue. I'm like, what, really? And they were there, so they came in and they explained that they were a specialized team, and this is the reason why they're here and everything. So by the time my sister-in-law had arrived and I still had my neighbor here. So I was packing up and everything to take her to the hospital. They dressed her up. We're going to take her to the hospital. She's hooked up on a bunch of different things and you don't want to see your kid like that ever. But you got to be strong. And at that time I was a little bit more calm and everything because I know she was in good hands. So Sean got home and then I actually left in the ambulance with her. The great thing was when the paramedics were here and when they were treating her, they did not have to administer any emergency medication, as well as while I was alone with her, I did not have to administer any emergency medication. And that is because she was coming through right away. While I was on the phone with 911, they were asking me a lot of questions as to what is she doing, how is she responding. The only thing that they asked me to do is to keep her awake. She was in the recovery position. That's what I always do. The moment a seizure hits or anything hits, I always have her in the recovery position. So yeah, she did not have to get any medication administered right away, but they were checking her vitals, they were checking everything. She was hooked up to a bunch of stuff. So we got to the emergency room, and then they did the blood work. She was again hooked up to a bunch of different things, and Sean came after a little while, so it was the three of us there. And then eventually she was throwing up a lot. The seizures had stopped, which was great. So we had 8 seizures in total. In about 40 minutes, we had 8 seizures. So they had stopped, but she continued to throw up. She had zero, like nothing in her stomach. And because of that, they hooked her up on saline. I don't know, some IV thingy. They put her on that, and they gave her another medication. I can't remember why, but they gave her some. They gave her Keppra. They did give her Keppra while she was in the hospital as well. And the pediatric doctor came to take a look at her, and they decided to keep her. So we moved over to the peds unit, and she just continued to recover. She continued to come into herself. She continued to Shayla again. Sean ended up staying in the hospital with her because of the babies and everything. I had to come home to get everything ready, and because I had not slept the night before, like I really wanted to sleep. So he said he was fine to stay with her. I came home. Yeah, so that was that. So that was the only scary, but that was our seizure moment since taking our medication. And again, I don't think it had anything to do with the dosage not being right or the medication not being right for her. The medication is doing amazing for her. It's just that the doctor did say it's possible that the infection that she had triggered the seizures. And that's something I did not know. I was clueless. In all of my research, somehow I missed that her being sick can trigger seizures. It just makes perfect sense, right? They mentioned something about blood cells, white blood cells. Now, can I tell you? So Sean received all the information because he was the one at the hospital with her. So men can relate information differently, very differently. But yeah, they told him what happened, and it was nothing. Not that it wasn't serious, but it was nothing crazy serious, I guess, right? But she's still on the same 5 ml twice a day. She is home now and doing great. The upside to being in the hospital is that our local fire station came and they showered her with gifts. It was like only 4 of them in the peds unit. And they were like, come take a gift for Shayla. And I grabbed the gift and they were like, no, take more. I'm like, oh my God, they spoiled her there. They took such good care of her. Like such good, the nurses were amazing. Everybody was amazing. Sean and I kept flipping. We were doing now. So Sean basically took off all the rest of the time work. He took that off. And we were basically one switching. Like we would drive up to the hospitals. Somebody else, I would jump out of the car. He would jump in the car. He would go home to do whatever, and I would stay with her. So we were back and forth to the point where the doctor came and he had asked whether or not we wanted to stay, and we said no. We thought she was fine. So she spent 2 days, 1 night. So it could have been 2 days, 2 nights, but basically we said no, we're gonna take her home. So she can actually sleep and then thing. So we brought her home and she's been good ever since. No seizures, no issues. They did give her antibiotics to help with the infection, and that has worked. So she's been doing great. So she's home, and we're going to be spending Christmas at home and not in the hospital, which is amazing. So yeah, so that is our that was what I wanted to share in part 2. She did have seizures, but the seizures were triggered by something else. And again, it was a cluster of seizures is what they say, a cluster, because it was back to back to back to back to back. It was so scary. But we have decided, even ABA, her team has been great. They've decided that they were going to be wearing masks around her because they just don't want to chance her getting sick. Even at school, the moment I know that anybody's sick, I'm going to pull her out of school because we just don't want to chance it. I know it's unfortunate that we have to do some things like that, but it's in the best interest of Shayla, right? So we have to make sure we keep her safe. Even at home, if anybody's sick, we're going to wear masks and just try to be as careful as we can, wash our hands, wiping down heavy touch areas, just so that it doesn't trigger anything, because you just never know, right, with seizures. So but overall, we're happy that she's doing great. We're happy that she's on the medication and it has stopped the seizures. I consider this incident to be a one-off, but overall she's doing really, really, really well. So our next step is I mentioned that in the first video, is to get an MRI done. We're still waiting for the MRI at Sick Kids Hospital. So we will get that done, and we will definitely update the results of that. All of her other tests have come back clear, like, right? So I pushed for the MRI, and I want the MRI. So hopefully we get that done soon, and we can see if there's any underlying thing happening. But if not, again, we know with the Rett syndrome that it does trigger seizures. In the Rett community that I'm part of, the Rett mamas they always talk about seizures, and it's crazy because it seems like every other Rett child has seizures. It's unfortunate. We really thought that we had skipped that part, but since August to now, we have had a few. But knock on wood, and she's in good hands. She's been taken care of. God's been good to us, so I'm not worried. I'm not worried. She's very happy. She's doing the do. She's Shayla. So I'm very happy with where she is right now. And as promised, I will record a video with her in person so you guys can see her and see how big she's gotten. She's a big girl now. She's going to be 13 in February. She's actually going to be spending her birthday on a cruise ship. So yay, Shayla. So yeah, so I'll now share that as well. Yeah. Right. So again, thank you for being here. If you have any questions, any comments, leave it down below for us. I will respond. We appreciate you. If you've not already subscribed and hit the notification bell, do that right now. When new videos get uploaded, you will be one of the first people to know. All right, so we will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.